Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Say What You Like Sports Podcast. And I want to talk a little bit about this 30-10 victory on the road the Dallas Cowboys grabbed over the New York Giants, basically ruining Eli Manning's big comeback at MetLife Stadium this weekend. And the national coverage is pretty much going to want to talk about Dak and the offense having a big bounce-back game. But just like last week, a little bit later on, I want to talk a little bit more about the defense, because I think the defense played very, very well this weekend. But back to Dak real quick. You know what? He had a great game. He's going to deserve all the praise he gets after the beating he's been taking over the past few weeks. Dak goes 20 of 30, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that should land him at a 137.1 passer rating. So Dak was balling out this weekend, and he really did bounce back. Dallas didn't do too bad on the ground as well. 122 yards rushing as a team. So that's combined 3 ways from what little yards Dak has got with his legs, and also Alfred Morris was running for those tough yards early on. And Rod Smith kind of just sealed the game away with some of those big runs in the fourth quarter. Rod Smith is starting to become his own man. He's no longer just Jalen Smith's older brother. He's starting to become that. Maybe pretty soon, he's going to be the primary backup to Ezekiel Elliott. I think that's pretty much what he's playing for at this point. Now, a little bit of something that I was disappointed in this weekend is Dez, because Dez starts the game off with 2 drops. I mean, just terrible drops. Hit him in the face, hit him right in the hands, and he drops it. And that's not what you want to see from one of the highest paid wide receivers, your number one. But finally, Dez does something in the game, takes advantage of single coverage, gets a big touchdown, big play in the game. But here's what's concerning. He should be having more and more of those plays, because if you look during that play, he's one-on-one with number 25 on the New York Giants, some guy named Brandon Dixon, a 6th-round draft pick from back in 2014, a journeyman, and they're going one-on-one with Dez Bryant for most of that game with Brandon Dixon. So he should have got that touchdown. He should have got a lot more. When you're going one-on-one with Brandon Dixon, you should be making plays if you're Dez Bryant. So although I commend him for the big play, it's something that we should expect from your number one wide receiver like Dez Bryant, because let's face it, Cole Beasley is the one that is getting doubled. He's getting bracketed, especially on 3rd downs there. So Dez is being left one-on-one. He needs to make more of those plays like the one we've seen this weekend. But, like I said earlier, you're going to hear a lot about that from the national media, the coverage that they're going to get this week. I want to talk a little bit more about the defense, some of the safeties, some of the young cornerbacks. 3 draft picks from this year were manning the cornerback slots. I want to get into their performance, and I want to talk a little bit about how they helped the Dallas Cowboys pull out that 30-10 win this weekend. Jumping into the other side of the ball, I want to talk a little bit about this Dallas Cowboys defense. And in particular, I want to talk about the 2 starting safeties for the Cowboys on defense. That'd be Byron Jones and Jeff Heath. I think I'll start it off by talking a little bit about Byron Jones. In my opinion, the Cowboys shouldn't pick up the 5th-year option on Byron Jones' rookie contract, as they have that choice to make this offseason. But with what we have seen so far, I just can't justify it. He is just your classic tweener. Too big to play corner, but just not enough of a solid tackler to be that last line of defense as a safety. But, Cowboys fans are probably, or I'll say the majority of Cowboys fans are probably guilty of, jumping the gun on this kid and saying, get rid of him, he can't play corner, he can't play safety, he's a bust. I think that's far from the truth. Byron Jones, he's got the skills. He's an athletic freak. He's done some nice things here with the Cowboys in his, 3 years here. The thing is, he just has a nice niche. And I spoke about this a little bit last week. This guy can cover the tight end. He's had some great great games, shutting down the likes of Travis Kelce. He shut down Rob Gronkowski before. I mean, he's really limited some explosive tight ends. He's the perfect matchup for if you just need a guy to cover a tight end. He's got the right amount of strength, speed, size to cover a tight end. But he just doesn't have it as far as being an every down, 3-down starter on defense at safety or cornerback for that matter. So, I think Byron Jones, he definitely deserves a spot on the 53-man roster. He definitely has his niche, but he's just too much of a tweener. He's a jack of all trades, master of none, except for covering the tight end. So you know what? Keep Byron Jones on the roster next year. It's going to be worth it. He's also a versatile backup. But you do not want to let, you having Byron Jones on your roster and say, hey, you know what, we can't afford to draft a top tier, cornerback or safety for that matter because we got Byron Jones. That's far from it. The other starting safety for the Cowboys this year, we got to talk about Jeff Heath. Now the problem with Jeff Heath is inconsistency. It seems like half the time I'm looking at my Twitter timeline and I'm seeing Cowboys fans complaining about Jeff Heath. Hey, he missed another tackle. He left that play wide open for a big play. We can't afford to let Jeff Heath make these mistakes in the backfield there. But then the other half of the time you're seeing, nice pick by Jeff Heath. Big hit by Jeff Heath, forcing that fumble. Good job. So the problem with Jeff Heath is just inconsistency. And you can't have that if you want to be a full-fledged starter in this league. I think Jeff Heath, much like Byron Jones, he's a nice piece. You definitely want to have a player like Jeff Heath on your roster. Especially considering that he plays special teams and he's a special teams ace. So you definitely want Jeff Heath as a backup safety, but when he's your starter, you're kind of pushing it. Now, Heath, he balled out this weekend in the 30-10 victory over the New York Giants. I mean, he had 10 tackles. He had a pass defense. We talked a lot about passes getting defense these days for the Cowboys, something we're not used to seeing. He also had 1 interception and a special teams tackle. So, it's another case similar to Byron Jones where he has his niche on the team, but he just shouldn't be our starting safety next season. Not if we want this defense to get better. So, I think the Cowboys need to keep an eye out for a safety in free agency or in the draft and just continue to let Kayvon Frazier develop, give him some playing time down the stretch, and see what he could do, because he really does look like he could be that enforcer. We haven't seen enough. I'm not sold on Kayvon Frazier, but you know what? When you look at the players we have starting at safety, Byron Jones and Jeff Heath, why not give the kid a shot? Alright, we got the safeties out of the way. Now it's time to talk about some of these cornerbacks currently on the Dallas Cowboys roster. Now, in the 30-10 victory over the New York Giants, the top 3 cornerbacks were all rookies. So the Cowboys are super young at the cornerback position, but so far it looks pretty damn promising. Now, I talked a lot last week about Awuzie, the 2nd-round pick this year. He was targeted 5 times by Eli Manning. He only gave up 2 catches and 19 yards. So Chido continued to do his thing for a second week as the starting cornerback, and this is just a rookie. So lots of promise being shown by Chido. Let the man play. And again, what I talked about last week was how this cornerback seems to get his hands on the ball, and we haven't seen that for years. Brandon Carr, Mo Claiborne, even Orlando Scandrick, Mike Jenkins, Terrence Newman. It seems like they never got their hands on the ball. And Chido comes up with 2 passes defensed in this game, and he had 3 last week, so he's got 5 passes defensed in the game. And don't forget, it was Chido on the coverage when he knocked that ball up into the air that allowed Sean Lee to get that interception. So it was his pass deflection that led to the interception. So Chido is doing his thing. Another cornerback, Jourdan Lewis, the 3rd-round pick out of Michigan, 3 passes defense this weekend. And he just looks like a solid, willing tackler in that game. So Jourdan Lewis, the arrow is pointing up for him too. Yeah, he has had a game or two where he struggled in coverage. I mean, he got ate up back a few weeks back with the Atlanta game. But there was no pass rush, and you can't put it all on the kid. But he's shown the flashes. The flashes are there. And then you have the third cornerback, the starter in the slot position. You have Xavier Woods, the 6th round pick out of this year's draft. And I think it's not too early to say he is the best slot corner on this roster, and that includes Orlando Scandrick, because Scandrick has been manning the slot for the past 6-7 years at least for the Dallas Cowboys. But I like the way Xavier Woods can cover. He's always around the ball. He's getting his hands on the ball as well. The only problem I see with him is that tackling can be an issue for him at times. He kind of whiffed a few times in the New York Giants game this weekend. There's a game or two, I don't know if it was the Chiefs game, where a few whiffs, the Falcons game, a few whiffs, but for the most part, it's just something that he's got to learn. He is still a rookie, but right now, these 3 young cornerbacks are doing their thing, and the only veteran on the squad is Orlando Scandrick, and he missed the New York Giants game with the 2 broken transverse process bones in his back. That's the Tony Romo injury, the small little spinal fractures. So he's probably going to miss this Oakland game. So expect to see a lot more out of Chidobe, Awuzie, Jourdan Lewis, and Xavier Woods, the 3 rookies at cornerback. And, we'll see how they do against Derek Carr and that passing attack that's been inconsistent this year, but last year looked great for the Oakland Raiders. So keep your eyes on the defense. That is going to be the key. If they can keep us in these games, keep the score down, hopefully the Cowboys get the running game going. Dak can do his thing. And then if we can pull this one out, you get Zeke back against Seattle, and then it's game on if you're a Cowboys fan.